We finally got the funeral episode. Gets high with Tori and Allie, and Coop goes bowling with his dad's mistress. All that and more on the next episode of Binge starting now. Welcome to Unbinged, the podcast where we like to break down the TV and movies that you guys love to binge. I am Sam Holt. I am joined by Matt Kopfhamer, and today we're going over Your Friends and Neighbors. Kopf, let's get that spoiler warning.
This is your one and only spoiler warning for Apple TV's Your Friends and Neighbors. If you haven't caught up, it's a great show, so do that now.
It is a great show. This episode was interesting because last week we left off with the news that Coop's dad passed, and we were thrown right into the funeral arrangement planning and the entire aftermath at the house, or at Coop's mom's house, I should say. And you kind of mentioned it before we started recording that this episode was kind of like a bottle episode where you're just moving around inside this house. And it was really interesting to see so many viewpoints, specifically from Coop's point of view. We were talking a little bit before we started, and I wanted to get your take off on just how they set this up to feel so impactful from Coop's point of view.
Oh yeah, and you could tell right away as they were switching different camera angles, right? They would go from literal point of view to more almost like a fisheye lens to like extreme close-ups of people's faces, and it really meant to give it this whole episode like a surrealism and this feeling of like unreality because Coop is dealing with the literal death of his father while also navigating all of the, complex relationships he has with his friends and his family. And then you have somebody like Ash show up, and he is the last person that Coop wants to see. And Ash is seemingly trying to be genuine and give him some comfort and be like, hey, this is what's going to happen when you're grieving. And he's just like, man, just fuck off. Like, I need one day off from all the bullshit and all the, like, the criminality that I've put myself into to
I need
deal
one
with the
day off
death
of
my
blackmail,
father.
thank you.
Right. And you can tell from Ash's perspective, like, it seems like he's trying to be a nice guy about it, but it's like, man, now's not the time. So I
Yeah.
really like how the showrunners, the directors, played with those different camera angles and played with the different perspectives of the characters in the episode to really give us this almost surrealism as we're watching.
I think that's a good way to describe it too, because there were just these moments where as the camera's panning through the house, it kind of goes behind Coop and you're seeing it exactly from his perspective. And then as the camera shifts and moves, it's a very fishbowl episode, but I really liked that. And there was a moment too, even with Coop and Allie, as they're dealing with weird people that you would run across at a funeral. Like, someone's telling stories and showing photos, but the person who's passed isn't even in the photos. And then Coop's also dealing with people that are just trying to give their condolences, but they don't seem genuine. And then he makes eye contact with his sister Allie, and then she makes a face that I feel like I've shared with my brother on so many occasions of like, oh my God, get me out of here. Let's talk. And then they kind of do this rendezvous point at a different point in the house of checking in on each other. And there was a lot of things where it felt like, with Allie's history, it felt like Coop was really just present for her and giving her space and being very thoughtful. And then it felt like the rest of the episode, no one was giving Coop that same level of respect and space. It was like, because everyone knew he's the more together one, they just dumped and piled all of their own emotions and their moments on him. And it really felt like no one was overwhelming Allie in that way except for her mom, which was just a consistent this entire episode.
Yeah, really good point. I like how you brought that up because you see this a lot of times in just regular families, right? When you have multiple siblings and one of them inevitably is the fuck up. And it's like they get treated with kid gloves, but then the child or the son in this case, that's the more responsible one, has all the burden put onto them because they can handle it. They have their shit together. They're strong. They can do it. Whereas, right now is a really intense time for the black sheep. So we got to make sure we don't put too much on them, except for, like you said, the mom just can't help herself. And is that fair? Absolutely not. But it's also like, when you have those different dynamics in your family, you kind of play your role and you fit within your role. And in situations like a funeral, it's easier just to slip back into that role and allow that to happen and then deal with the aftermath afterwards. It's just too high emotion to really try to break that down in the moment. But I really like how they gave us that because that felt like the most realistic part of the episode to me because you have Allie, whose history of being a crash out is on everyone's mind. Everyone
Yes.
top of mind is like, we got to make sure she doesn't do something.
Yes.
And she almost did when Bruce showed up. That fucking idiot. Like, I'm sorry, but even if my ex's mom was like, "Please come to me," I'd be like, I'm sick.
Yeah.
I'll send my mom in an Uber. Like, come on, man, be smarter than that.
No,
And
literally.
Tori's response was, "Chef's kiss." Just that's Bruce. I thought he'd be hotter.
Literally. And I think that is such a, everyone deals with grief in different ways. And I think this was a really good episode to kind of even capture just that as a whole. Because obviously, Allie is like, I'm doing great. I'm doing great until she's not doing great. And everyone's going to go through this and be struggling. And clearly, the mom is going through, I would say just like an even increasing crash out the entire episode herself because she's making these decisions because she feels like she needs to be making these decisions for her husband who has passed. There's a moment pin in that I can understand. But then even watching Allie just progress through the day and then her mom finding kind of ways to like, well, is this going to send her over the edge? Because maybe she needs to see her daughter crash out to feel okay. Like, okay, everyone is feeling what I'm feeling inside. And it's kind of like her last card that she plays is that boyfriend showing up. And it's like, well, it's, water under the bridge buried a long time ago. Meanwhile, she's doing nothing but making Mel feel terrible for being an ex-wife. And so she's just finding different ways to control the episode. The mom is such a critical point of this entire episode of what her impact is to each character. And as Coop is just like observing it happen.
Yeah, and the mom is, like you said, she's a really interesting character just because she seems to be so unlikable, and it's like she seems like she wants all the control. She can't quite help herself but throw barbs at people, and it just seems like her personality is very much that, like, abrasiveness. And good on Ron for being able to stay married to her for so long, because I would have tapped out a long time ago if that was my situation. And it makes sense to me then that I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but that he had a mistress. And because he found her later in life, it wasn't we're going to have a torrid love affair and run away together. Like, this seems more of a topical Diana Reese, Reese and Mike Variable thing, where it's like, hey, we're both married, we both have our things going on, but we'll get together when we have fun, and then that's fine. Like, we're not going to run off together.
Yes, but the difference is their affairs is not being put across page 6 right now.
Sure, sure. I mean, Ron Cooper's not the head coach of the New England Patriots, so
Yeah,
there's that.
not that we know
But
yet.
not that we know. But for him to find comfort in another woman that he met in his bowling league, it just goes back to that scene where Cooper finds the Cartier cufflinks that have never been used, right? And he's
Hmm.
thinking about it. He's like, his father was a very simple man. Like, he liked the bull, he loved his family. He didn't want all the glitz and the glamour, and he didn't chase the Joneses like his son seemed to do. And so for Cooper to finally get to that point where he can understand his father a little bit better, he realizes maybe he himself has been chasing the wrong things in life. And while he initially thought, oh, my dad's settled, he deserved more, he should have done more to get more out of life, it took that conversation with Aline, his dad's mistress, to really recognize, no, your father was happy. Like, he found happiness in the little things. And that's what made him such a profound guy, is like, he looked at the little moments, like having dinner with his kids and finding happiness in that, instead of trying to make these $500 million deals and trying to, rob his neighbors blind and make more money and get more stuff. It's like he had no interest in that rat race. And I think Cooper finally understood that. And I think we're going to see a different perspective moving forward in this season, at the very least. At least I hope so.
That's such a good point. before I give my 2 cents on that, because I do think it's so good, we need to expand upon it. I want to first say thank you to all those that are tuning in. And we really appreciate you guys over here at Unbinged. Make sure you like and subscribe if you are enjoying the content that you're seeing. We have plenty of fun things coming for you and things that are ongoing. We have free episodes every Wednesday for The Boys, season 5. Thursdays, we have Your Friends and Neighbors, which we're bringing you now. Plus, we have so much more content. We are covering Euphoria season 3. We have the first 3 episodes out for free for all of our viewers and listeners. But then make sure that you also check out, and if you haven't already, that you join the subscriptions so that way you can get some bonus content. We're covering episodes 4 through 7 of Euphoria for our premium bingers, and then we will bring the finale episode review for everyone to watch and enjoy. There's a lot of fun things. We're also covering Lord of the Flies, so make sure that you check that out. Want to give a shout out to our premium subscribers. Thank you guys so much. We have a new one this week. Naya Victoria, appreciate you joining. Emily Joy, also new. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining. And all those that are tuning in, we really appreciate you. All right, let's jump back to that point you just made on Coop, because I do feel like this is such a searching episode for Coop to find, to probably to find his feelings, because it seems like he's kind of disassociating a lot of the times. In different moments he's just kind of deadpan, doing that classic stoic John Hamm face of like he's in deep pensive thought or he is removing himself from reality. It was one of those kind of episodes. And even when he went to his parents' bedroom and he was going through his father's things, I think he was just trying to find his dad after realizing that his mom's trying to just get rid of his stuff because this is a reaction, clearly a very reactionary moment for her. Well, I didn't like him putting the TV up on the wall anyways. Get the TV out of the house. You know, I just found these gardening shears. I'm going to give them to so and so. Do you want them? No. Like, okay. He's clearly like, she's giving away random stuff. I just need to go find a piece of my dad that reminds me of my dad. And he goes through his stuff. I love that he even has the thief monologue moment of
The
explaining the
overvoice.
cost behind the Cartier
Yeah.
cufflinks, because yes, that is such an important moment, and I think he's confused probably by how his dad could be happy in this life that he's seeing. And I think it's not until he has that moment with his mistress, with his dad's mistress, at the bowling alley after he grabs his dad's bowling ball and he's like, this is the thing I need to grab to remember my dad, which I also think is a kind of an interesting moment. And I think if I think about my parents, I'll get emotional and think like, what's the one thing if I were to go through my parents' house, I'd be like, this is this parent. So that's clearly him having a moment. But then even when he goes and walks into the bowling alley and he recognizes this woman and they have this heart to heart and she says, you know, your dad was happy. Like he was happy with you. He loved his life and didn't need and want for more. It just felt like such a closure moment for Coop that we were getting to witness of him understanding not just his dad more, but as a mirror looking at his own life because his father raised him. Like, how has he gone down this path where his father was happy with this path? It's not that he settled, it's that he enjoyed and loved the life that he had.
Yeah, I think it goes back to like appreciation. Like just because you don't have everything doesn't mean you shouldn't appreciate what you do have.
Yeah.
And what I really love from I believe Aline or Elaine, the mistress,
Yeah.
was she mentioned like he found little things to be happy about, and then for everything else, there's bowling. And it's
Yeah.
like that to me is such a simple sentiment, but it makes so much sense because life is complicated, life is hard. Find the thing that makes you happy and hold on to it. And whether that's one thing like bowling or your family, you know, let that be the central point, and then everything else will radiate out from that. And if you give love and you give happiness, then that's what you're gonna give out to the world, and you're gonna get that back tenfold. Or at least that's what I think. So I think that's the lesson that Ron was trying to impart on his kids without coming out and saying it, right? Like he was just trying to lead a quiet example and just show his kids love and support. And there was a point where Allie, I forget exactly when it happens, but she just looks at Coop. She's like, I miss him. I miss him right now. And it's like, that's going to happen. Those moments where it's like, doesn't matter if it's a day after or 10 or 15 years later or however long later, like there's going to be those moments where you're just going to miss them. And those are times where you can reflect and really remember the good times and what they meant to you, and then move on from, move forward from there. So I really like this episode. I like the emotionality that it showed, and I can see where some people might be like, "Oh, it's taken away from the plot and it's a filler episode." That's not. This episode really gives us a new jumping off point for certain characters. Like we can see now where hopefully Coop will take some of the life lessons that his dad tried to impart and move on from there. Maybe we're gonna see some headway with Mel and Tori, and maybe their relationship now isn't so icy, and maybe they can move forward as a mother and daughter. And then of course you get all the side characters that are just like orbiting around, Coop. And I think Ash to me is the most fascinating because was this all a facade? Like, was this him just playing nice, or was he
Hmm.
being genuine? Like the story about his dad falling 80 fucking feet overboard and then not dying somehow. Like, is that trying to show Coop like I'm resilient? You can't get rid of me.
Yeah, that's such a good point, and I think that's a good thing to kind of start unpacking now too. Like, what does this episode do for the rest of this season? Even just, from Coop's perspective, it kind of feels like this episode, rather than saying it's filler, which I think is too easy to throw away, because I do feel like there were some really important moments between characters in this. I feel like it's kind of like all roads were leading towards something in a season, and you expect everyone's journeys to kind of end up at a point. I feel like everyone ended up at like a connecting airport, is which is what this was. And now whether people are still on the same journey or they're going to a different destination because of this point, I think that's kind of how this episode functions. So it kind of can be, Coop was headed one direction, and is he going to continue that direction, with Ash, or at least with his same perspective going forward? Or is he going to change that direction for himself because of this episode? Same thing for Mel and for Tori, like you brought up, in terms of how they've been seeing each other recently and their perspectives. It felt like they needed this moment of realness between them where, Tori can see her mom struggling, or even having her own crash out about the neighbor and then them looking at her like, you are crazy. You're the crazy one in this situation. She's like, no, am I?
Mom, you're a
But
Karen.
yes, exactly. But like, I think it was important for her to just vent, because also, like, I still think that Mel's completely right for getting mad at this neighbor. But is it important to vent to different people when you're going through something that you're struggling with your friends, so you can have that mirror perspective of like, you're totally justified, or like, I hear you. You sound crazy right now. Like you do need that, call to balance from others and from your peers. And I think that Mel got that in this episode, as well as, Tori seeing this moment of realness from her mom, that, she's not just mad at me, or she's not only angry at me. Like there's things that she's clearly going through that have nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. And I think that's also really important for her, because she was definitely feeling this like, as you do when you're younger, this is the only problem. Me and my mom, this is the problem that everyone's dealing with. And then the reality being that there are so many other things going on in everyone's lives, and how everyone handles it, it's not just about you. And I think that was really important for Tori to see. And then even
For sure.
for Allie, we were kind of waiting for her to crash out this whole episode. She finally like did explode, but I feel like she handled herself in a way
Justifiably.
justifiably, and in a way that she should be proud of looking back, because she's been the black sheep. Everyone's waiting for her to blow up, and she didn't. She only blew up when it was completely justifiable. That Rex
Yeah.
shows up.
Yeah. Fucking idiot. What are you doing?
I know,
Um,
literally.
have you, I've never had the opportunity. I probably never will based on who my parents are. But have you ever smoked weed with either one of your parents?
I have not smoked with my parents, and it's only taken like the most recent years, because all of my life it's been like a, you don't do drugs, right? And I'm like, no. Yes,
Of course not.
that's been the conversation. But of course, because they're older and your parents, like, I feel like as you grow up, your parents are taking care of you, and then at a certain point it switches and you're taking care of them. It took their pickleball friends to tell them about the gummies that they take that help them sleep at night, that they're like, this actually helps us sleep at night. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been trying to tell you that the medicinal benefits here for years, you're not just getting stoned or getting high and feeling all trippy and seeing the paint melt off the walls. There's actual benefits. They both, have arthritis. They're older. They have, different things that I think that could help them. But yeah, I go over to their house and I'm like, what's this? Like, why you got brownies on the counter? Mom, can I have a brownie? No, don't eat the brownies. What's in the brownies, Mom? What's in the brownies? Well, it was just an idea that we had, and so over at Pickleball was saying that, and I'm like, did you guys make pop brownies? Yes, they did. And my mom will put them in the freezer and cut them in little tiny cubes and have a little bite before bed so she can relax. And I'm like, okay,
Nice.
like full circle. Yes. So, and I did try one with my mom. I'm like, cool. Now let's watch TV and enjoy a show together. So that was like our
That seems
version.
cool.
We didn't
That seems
hotbox it in
cool.
like my childhood room,
Fair enough. But
which is I think a
I
different level.
right, yeah, that's another step. I don't have the closest relationship with my parents, unfortunately. I wish I could just like share a joint with them and just like get goofy because I think that would help us like eliminate some of the awkwardness between us. But
Yeah.
it's neither here nor there.
There's like a level of you know, a sigh of relief between these three women in this room that are having this heart to heart, playing with the magic 8 ball and asking it questions, which I thought was really sweet too. But even, when Mel walks in and she sees Allie with Tori, and they're holding the joint and she's like, "You guys getting high?" And then Tori looks at her like, "Oh, you're gonna get mad at me for one more thing." And she's like, closes the door, like, "I'm staying in here too." And I think that was also, again, just a really important moment for Tori to see a realness to her mom in terms of her struggles. And, she's complaining about obviously Coop's mom and how she treats her. And I think that it's easier for Tori to see a lot of different layers in her mom in this moment than she's been able to see for a minute, because obviously they have this one thing with college that they've been fighting about, and to see her mom go through struggles where clearly this relationship with, Coop's mom has been a long thing that she's been dealing with for a very long time. And even how that affects Allie, and to the trickle down that even Tori sees or doesn't see. Because as a kid, some of those things parents will shield, that from you, and you're not totally aware until later, like, oh, so you guys actually don't get along. I just always thought it was, silly comments back and forth, but this is actually stuff that's big, really deep. I thought that was really nice and really genuine.
And I think it's gonna help give Tori that perspective that like, well, yes, her mom is annoying her with her concern. At the end of the day, it's concern. Like she's worried about your future and she still loves you. Maybe the way she goes about it is overbearing, but that's just because that's your mom. And so I think this episode helped gave, like you said, Tori that perspective. And I think it's gonna help their relationship move forward. Um, there's gotta be some sort of catalyst event where they come together. It's gotta happen, right? Like right now we're getting those baby steps. I think something's
Mm-hmm.
gonna happen either to Coop or I don't know, but it's it's hard to see them in this icy relationship because it's like, man, she just wants the best for you, Tori, and I get it, Tori. You're young and you feel independent and you don't understand like when your parents put their arms around you, it's not to hold you back, it's to
Mm-hmm.
give you support. And right now it feels like you're being restrained. Um, and the reason I say is because I went through something similar when I was 18. I was like, I'm ready to get out of my house. I'm ready to be a man. I'm ready to do all the things I want to do. And then I tried and the world kicked me right in the nuts. And then I fell back towards my parents, which
Mm-hmm.
thank God I had that support system. So hopefully Tori doesn't have to go through that struggle to fall back on that support. Hopefully she just realizes it from the start. Like she has that support system and she can go forward with the confidence knowing she does.
Yeah, I think that's a good call out. I think it's interesting though that you say that you think that there's going to be another catalyst moment that pushes them together, because I think that some might argue that this is the episode that does that.
The
But
only reason
I was
The
going to
only
say I
reason
need
I
to
say
know.
that is because at the end of the night, when Hunter, Tori, and Delilah are leaving,
Mm-hmm.
Hunter turns around, waves goodbye to the mom, and the mom goes to wave or do say goodbye to Tori, and Tori kind of ignores her. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like they're not quite there yet, and that was a very small moment, but I think it's very poignant.
Mm. Yeah, I definitely. I feel like that this is definitely like the ice is starting to melt around this whole tension in this situation. Really curious because I mean, obviously, the way that your For Instance Neighbors is set up, we're gonna have catalysts. We're gonna have things. We're gonna have things explode in different characters' faces to push them towards and against each other. So I think it's interesting that your first thought is like, okay, what's gonna happen to another character to force
Right.
them to be together?
Speaking of ice, though, Hunter taking that spill while trying to get with Delilah was
That was
hilarious.
that was so quintessential to his character though. Like he's not smooth. He's not that guy. Like and that's sweet. And I think that's sweet that even you can see that Delilah sees that it's sweet that he's like she's like I've never seen that before.
That's a first. Like, he just pulls her down with him. Though
Yes.
I am, it's not strange. They're teenagers, but it's like, man, you guys are at a funeral and like your entire extended family is right below. Maybe now's not the time to be getting a little handsy.
Yeah. They're kids. Like you want to get
Fair.
you also want a distraction as a kid to like get away from the feelings and the emotions. So what do? You go into something else that's going to be a different level of heightened emotion. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
I couldn't help but think of Will Ferrell's character from Wedding Crashers, though.
What's the line that he says
Oh
why he goes
God,
to
what is it?
funerals?
He's like, death makes him horny or some shit like that. Oh my God.
Death is such an aphrodisiac, man.
Yeah, there you go. Ma, the meatloaf.
Great movie. So that's kind of like all of the really big characters, but I think that to the point that this is an episode that we see where everyone's destination either continues or pivots. We see little moments, with Nick, with Barney, and clearly with Barney and his wife puking in the middle of the
Poor
funeral.
Grace.
Poor thing, was hilarious. Curious how Barney's character is changed, if anything, after this. I think that's going to be a question. Like, who experiences the change after this episode, or who stays exactly who they are? Nick, I think, is staying exactly who he is. He is going unchanged.
Oh,
Barney,
the
I'm
fact that
curious.
Nick tries to give Coop some like reassurance about like, when my dad passed, and then he brings up like the only other time he's felt that bad is winning a bronze medal in the Olympics. It's like, man, fuck you, Nick. That's not all the same.
Now is not the time to talk about you.
Ugh. But you can tell from just his personality that's like what he finds important. You're right. He's not going to change. I
Hmm.
honestly don't think Barney's going to change. I think he's
Good,
still
yeah.
so wrapped up in like what's happening with the money and with this audit. Like he's still
Hmm.
too distracted with everything going on for him to have any sort of like personal breakthrough because of a funeral. I think I think Ash might have some changes just because he might try to approach Coop in a different manner. Like now
Hmm.
he's gonna maybe try soft glove it and try to go that sympathy route. Or who knows? Maybe he'll do another line of coke and then just like threaten to kill Coop. I don't know.
I kind of feel like it's more like the latter. Like, I think that depending on what happens the rest of the season, I do feel like Coop has changed from this, and I think that how he handles business going forward is going to be different. That relationship with him and Ash, I'm really curious about because does he become more resolute in I'm finishing the job you asked me to do and I'm done? Whereas Ash has had this, I'm blackmailing you. Haha, can't we just be friends? Like, no. Like, I think that that's also going to become an issue if Coop tries to draw that boundary with Ash of like, we're only doing this and I'm done. Depending on how Ash takes that, I think could be the next catalyst for the next crazy thing to happen. Because he could just do, a line of coke and then threaten to kill him, bring more people into the problem, call the police. I don't know. He could end up doing something crazy. So he is definitely the wild card that I'm not sure is going to be in Coop's favor or against Coop rest of the season because he's been kind of teetering that line all the way up until now of being for or against him. And I think this could be something that pushes him over the edge either way to try and bring some resolution. So I'm really curious to see how that transpires going forward. I was gonna say something else and I forgot.
Did you have? I did, and it's just because my brain is weird. But there was a moment where Ash is taking the TV away, and then Coop's like, "Is that my dad's belt?" He's like, "Yeah, your mom said I could have it."
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, I was waiting for Coop to like go over and like try to like take the belt from him, like from his pants, but he
Yeah.
didn't. But I wonder if we're gonna have something come up later where either another thing that was given to him by the mom
Hmm.
comes up, and that that brings a reaction from Coop. Um, but it just, obviously that was more about his mom trying to grieve and give stuff away and then him reacting to that. But I wonder if there's going to be something that was given to Ash that Coop just will not accept, and that's going to like cause an issue between the two of them.
Yeah. I think that's a really good call out too. There's a lot of little moments. This is one of those episodes where it's all little moments that kind of build to something you're either going to walk away with a deeper understanding of the character, or you're going to see this episode and think, okay, well, this didn't have all the action I wanted to see. I can't wait for next week. I can't wait for next week because I think this is such a jumping off point.
For sure. What was your favorite little moment with the like well wishers and sympathy givers? Because they had that little vignette where they had all the different ones talking about like their end of life wishes and how they want to live, stuff like that. What was your
Hmm.
favorite part? Because I have one.
Um, I think it's the couple where she had mentioned that she had already booked their plots to be side by side. And then he said, yeah, because we want to
That's what
rest
I
in
call it.
peace.
Rest in peace.
Because she's just this
That's a good
buzzing
one.
character, and you can just see him like letting her talk, and you'd
Mhm.
imagine he's like, I would be fine if I rested away from her. I
That
thought
was a
that
good
was really
one.
cute.
That was a good one. My favorite was the two talking about like living forever, basically. Like, yeah, HGH and testosterone. It's like, you bet I'm gonna have my kid's blood inside of me one day. It's like
You should get
his
Hunter
100.
tested. You're like, what?
It's just like, what the hell, man? Like sometimes, oh my god. Which is incredible. Just an incredible thought process. You're at the funeral or the wake of someone who just lost their parent, and they're like, I'm gonna live forever because I'm gonna take my kid's blood.
I think that's first of all, I think that the little vignette, it kind of goes into like, if you're talking about how these characters are going forward, the community as a whole is going to stay being the exact same community it always has been. This event has left them completely unchanged. They will forever be themselves. But what I think this episode does really beautifully is explain how, or at least show how those that are going through grief, or one a family is, and how others go into that scenario, and how quickly people are searching for a way to, if not show empathy or sympathy, they try to relate. And what a mistake I think that is. Like, I think that this is a big lesson, and I have a friend of mine that's been going through grief recently, and something that she said that I think is so poignant too is like, you have people coming up trying to relate. And the thing is, even if you had a one-to-one scenario with someone also just lost a parent, you don't know that family's life and history, or that person where they're at. So to try and relate to them is a very empty gesture. I think it's so much more important to just show and pour on that sympathy and support rather than try to find a point to relate, because the person that's going through it doesn't need to hear why you've also felt hurt in your life. Like, yes, like in a way it feels like it's trying to minimize it. Oh yeah, I've felt, remorse before, or I've felt this before, and that's why it it's all the same. It's like, it's not the same. It's different for this person. Allow them to go through their grief, and just be there to say that you're sorry for their loss, that you know that this person was really important to them, and that going forward, if they ever need someone to talk to or to just get away from the moment, I think that's far more important, for people. So I think that, especially in society, the way that we're looking at grief, and I think everyone's sad or about different things these days, just a level of reality that, you don't need to find a way to make it about you, because that's all it ends up
Thank
doing, is
you.
sounding like
It's
now it's
selfish.
about you. Yeah, it
Yeah.
becomes a selfish gesture rather than an actual supportive and sympathetic gesture.
Right. There's, two things you need to do. Offer condolences, offer support, let the grieving party grieve. Like
Hmm.
that's all you have to do. We unfortunately try to overcomplicate everything, and sometimes loss is as simple as like, I'm here for you. Whatever you need, just let me know, and then give them space.
Yeah. Give them space, check in, kind of like, how are you doing today? Do you need to talk? Everything all right? Yes, no, okay, here if you need me. This is just like such a fun little glass bowl moment of how people handle watching someone else go through grief. And the majority of them don't handle it well, essentially.
It's an uncomfortable thing, right? Because you're dealing with the death of someone that you may not have been close to, but your friend is or was. And so then it's like your first reaction, like you said, is like, how would I react to this? And then go from there. And that it seems like a logical starting place, but unfortunately it then ends up being, like you said, a little bit selfish, because you're like, oh, it's about me now. Even if that's not your intention, that's how it comes across.
Yeah.
So it very much is, instead of trying to put yourself in their shoes, just let them know that you're there. Give them that support system that they need, because a lot of times grief is such a personal experience. Like you said, everybody grieves differently. And there's no right way to grieve, right? So if you just allow them space, give them that support and give them that love, like they will come out of it most of the time okay. Obviously there's situations where it can go wrong, but again, if you have that support, then you usually can keep that from spiraling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the last thing I'll say about, like, just how everyone was reacting to different things in this house was the last one that I was like, oh, this is Coop's last straw, was after Barney's wife puked. And it wasn't that she had puked in the middle of the funeral, but it was Coop's reaction to the other husbands in the room and their reaction
Laughing.
that was laughing at the situation. And I think, again, throwing that fisheye lens on the community and the people that are his peers and how he is not like them. And there's been a lot of moments, last season and this one too, where I think Coop is sitting back like, I am not like these people. And I think that separation is going to continue to fracture apart. Like, he's already feels like he's disassociated from the community. I think that this kind of pushes that into further perspective, because it's after that moment that he kind of sees his father across the room just making his kind of
Disappointed.
like disappointed face, and
Disappointed
it's
in the
just like,
afterlife.
yeah,
I wonder if we'll get
it's
to a
hard.
point where Coop moves out of the community completely.
I feel like that definitely feels like the next ball to drop, doesn't it? Like, I'm really curious if that does happen, or if, or if this in some way he does leave the community and we end season 2 knowing season 3 is going to take place in a different community. Maybe it's something where, I think, where is Princeton relative to where we are in this community? Do you know?
Uh, nope.
I don't know either, but just thinking,
Princeton's New Jersey, right? And I think they're in Connecticut, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, they're only a state away.
right? I know everything over there is really close together. California is giant, so for me, I'm like, oh, you have to like take a flight to go anywhere. But my thought is, like, what if we end this season with Tori does end up going to Princeton and Coop follows to go and be a level of support of afar, like, and whether he gets like a small home or, apartment or something out that way, so that if she needs someone somewhere to go home to, he's also that for her. But then you also get a brand new community for him to be in with season 3, because I do kind of feel like, if anything, this episode makes me feel like Coop's going to be tapped out of this neighborhood. And if he's not already
Has
feeling that
to.
tapped out, like, he's like, I'm done with this place. And I feel like he's gonna need a destination shift for season 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time, basically since the first episode. It's been coming. Like, season 1, he saw beneath the mask of the community, and now he's really seen the rot underneath. And so, when is he gonna say enough's enough? Like, yeah, they have nice shiny things I can steal from him for a while, but eventually that's gonna run out too, because either somebody's gonna start noticing that their shit's missing, and there's only so many housekeepers you can fire before you're like, well, it's not them.
Yeah.
So again, he's always been playing against the clock. It's just, is he gonna realize it first, or is something gonna force him to?
I feel like this is the thing that makes him realize it, and then maybe something else happens that just kind of nudges him out the door. Yeah,
That something is probably Owen Ash.
probably Owen Ash, and he's just going to be like, "This is what we do, right? We burn bridges and leave cities." And it's just like, get in, bitch, we're going shopping. Like, and then they just like leave. Like a full Mean Girls moment.
I love it. So I know we had the Bruce showing up at the funeral moment. I'm surprised we didn't get a Sam showing up. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
glad. I'm glad she didn't. Like that makes more
Yeah.
sense. She would definitely be smart enough not to. Like she would know
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
But I'm really surprised we didn't get any Sam this episode.
I think to that point, I am not surprised that we didn't get her. One, because I think women are smarter than men. And even if Ash extended an invitation, you should come, she's like,
She
I
did
am
not.
not, I'm not making that dumbass decision to go. As opposed to Allie's ex, who's like, well, yeah,
My
it
mom
should be
said it's
fine.
okay.
My mom said it's okay. Like, how old are you? How old are you that is literally your reaction? And he's like, she said it was fine. I'm like, what? No, absolutely not. Like, that was ridiculous. Any other favorite moments for you from whether it was from that little vignette of characters or just any specific character interactions?
The most relatable part was when the three women are on the bed and they're like, you know what, we need snacks. And it's like, oh, it's so far away. It's like, nah, never mind.
That was good. When Mel say, yeah, that's a non-starter. Like, that's just like,
So
that's not.
relatable. It's like, yeah.
I really liked the moments that Coop was putting it together that Allie was high. It's like, and Mel is high. So it's
And
like,
Tori. It's like, you're in
and
time with
Tori's
the children now? God damn it.
everyone's getting high. Like, that was also just such a genuine dad moment of like, I leave you guys for 5 seconds. This is what you do. But then I also don't think that he's going to look back at that and be like upset in any way. It's just like, well, they're going to do what they're going to do and everyone's going to grieve in their own way. Really curious, again, going forward from this, how Allie handles everything going forward, if she continues with what seems like a very healed perspective that we're getting her from, or if there's a further
I'm worried
break.
about her.
You're
I'm worried
worried?
about her. I think she might be able to hold it together for an episode or two, but I think inevitably the pressure of not only is she in a new-ish job and situation, and these stupid asshole teenagers are gonna get under her skin, and then she's gonna, remember her. It's. I feel like it's just so much is gonna pile on her from a mental perspective. Like she's not gonna handle it well. But again, that is kind of her character. She is meant to be like a little bit messy. She's meant to be this walking disaster waiting to happen. And maybe we'll see her become not that. Maybe she'll grow through this experience. But I think it's just easier to have her crash out and then everyone react to the crash out.
I think that's fair. What do you think we get next week? Like, what's a moment that you think we get next week? Not like an entire plot, but what moment do you think we get next week?
I think we're gonna Elena finally confronting Coop about what's going on and being fed up because she's dealing with everything with her brother and like now owing a gangster 50 grand and like we got none of her this episode, so I think that's gonna be a something that's gonna pop up next episode.
The money being the big problem, I think makes a lot of sense to be in the next episode. I feel like we're going to get some level of confrontation between Ash and Coop again, again, Coop having just gone through what he's gone through. Maybe Ash trying to, again, look or appear sympathetic. And I think that Coop's going to call him out on it. And I think he's not going to like being called out in that way. And I think that we're going to get some level of confrontation. So really curious to see how next week goes, but that'll pretty much do it for us on this week for Unbinged, covering your friends and neighbors. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode of good, fun stuff that we have over here for you. And we will see you next week with the next episode of Your Friends and Neighbors. Until then, have a good one.